This is Rebecca Lowe, or Rebecca Lua, if you listen to Suboptimal Radio, and you are listening to Men in Blazers on the NBC Sports Network.
It's unbelievable!
Welcome to a Men in Blazers MLS pod special. Our guest today is a goalkeeper who's earned 106 caps for the United States of America. He spent the last 13 years of his club career in the English Premier League, first for Manchester United and then at mighty powerhouse Everton Football Club. But this week, like Odysseus returning home to Ithaca, he announced that on the most patriotic of days, July 4th, he'll return to his roots and MLS to join the Colorado Rapids. We welcome to the pod, live from US camp in Miami, a man whose face and beard will be carved into the Mount Rushmore of American goalkeepers one day, for sure. The one and only Mr. Tim Howard.
How are you guys?
Oh, Tim, congratulations on everything that's been going down. You've been in England, playing in the Premier League for nearly 13 years, Bommets for age. I'm sure MLS have reached out many times before to try and sign you. What made it feel right now?
Timing is a funny thing. I had 2 years left at Everton, which I planned on seeing out until the opportunity from Colorado presented itself. And as you said, rightfully said, there have been other times I could have moved, but it didn't feel right. But the project that Colorado has laid out, the front office and the coaching staff, and them wanting me to be a part of it and help push that thing forward allowed me to also extend my career by a year and a half. And that's something that was important to me. I want to continue playing. I have goals that I want to achieve, and it hurts. It's hard to leave Everton, but it's an exciting day.
Well, was it one of those decisions that was just clear-cut inside of you, Tim? Yes, I'm going to Colorado. Or was it a tiny part of you that wanted to stay in England?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't clear-cut at all. Everton is my home, and I wrestled with the decision quite a lot over the last few months. It's not an easy thing to leave a place that has been such a good relationship for me with Everton. So it certainly wasn't an easy decision, but one that ultimately I had the blessing of the manager, the chairman, and certainly my family. And I just thought it felt, I keep saying it felt right. It's about timing. Had this opportunity presented itself a year back or 2 years back, it wouldn't have made sense. But the way it does now, I've got the right feeling about it.
But what a 13 years it's been. You were a young starlet at Manchester United. Remember one of the English tabloids exclaiming, "This Yanks no plank," after one of your early Champions League performances. You went on to become the first Everton player to crack 350 Premier League games. And at Everton, among goalkeepers, only the Holy Trinity, the legends, Ted Sagar, Gordon West, and the great Neville Southall have more club appearances than your 412. But now you leave the Premier League, Tim. What emotion do you leave with? Regret, pride, a desire to reclaim a starting role, or satisfaction at all that you've achieved?
Certainly not regret. I think I look back on my time with fondness. I've sacrificed a lot. I've set the bar high. In order to get where I've gotten, I've suffered, which is what you have to do. I'm proud of what I've achieved there. So it's the end of a chapter. I've always been very good at moving on. One door closes, another one opens, and go through it and let the dust kind of settle. And so I'm very happy with the decision I've made. My 13 years in England, my 10 at Everton, those will never be forgotten. So I'm proud of those achievements.
I'm envious, Tim. You're speaking to someone for whom one door closes, another door closes. So I just am in awe of your approach to life. But what was your high point, your favourite memory of your time at Everton? Because for me, it was the 2009 FA Cup semi-final shootout. Your saves against Berbatov, Rio Ferdinand propelled Everton to glory. And I cried, Tim. I cried.
Well, I say I'm a lucky man because people ask me all the time what the high point is, and I've had a lot. I've had a lot of high points. That lets me know that I've been successful and that I'm very fortunate. Certainly that FA Cup semifinal was one. Beating Liverpool in my first derby way back in 2006. We beat them 3-0. That was important because that was my first opportunity to play in a derby, which I know is incredibly historic and meaningful. There's been a lot. It's hard to pick just one.
I'd say also the wake of your 2014 World Cup performance when the crowd would chant USA, USA, USA whenever you had the ball. Beautiful, poetic stuff. But this season, it's been one of challenge. The loss to Stoke City, you exchanged gestures with Everton fans behind your goal, which broke my heart to witness. When that happens, Tim, how do you experience it? Do you internalise it? Does it feel like a sign?
No one likes to come under criticism. The fans are passionate. I'm passionate. So they get pissed off, I get pissed off. It's a give and take. It's no problem. I've had a love affair with the Everton fans since I stepped foot on Goodison the first time in 2006. Part of football. The big boys get on with it and deal with it.
And get on with it, you did. What do you hope your legacy will be at Everton? Because to me, you really seem to love the club. You talk about it as your home now. In the same way supporters love the club, you're one of those players, Tim.
I've sacrificed. I've bled for the club. I've given it my all. There'll never be any questions about what I've given to the club. Legacy, that's for people like you to write, and people to be in the pubs and talk about. My numbers speak for themselves. That's all I've ever tried to do. Set the standards so high that, like I said, the next person who comes in order to achieve that is going to have to suffer.
I can say, Tim, you've been a remarkable servant to Everton over your 10 collective years at the club. 412 games, one magnificent goal. You led the club through some dark times and many good ones. You're a true icon in the pantheon of Americans who've prospered abroad. And as an American Evertonian, Tim, I've savoured every game I've watched you play. I actually think your greatest victory may lie in the number of Americans whose hearts and minds that you have through your play connected to the game of football.
A lot of people who I come across now talk about being Everton fans and that they started watching Everton when I went there, simply because I was an American. And so I think that's kind of a cool thing, in America for me, that I was able to help pave the way for American Evertonians. That club's special to me, so I can appreciate the fact that they latched on to Everton all those years ago and thought, this is kind of a cool club to support. And it's strange that it's been 10 years because it seems like it's flown by.
But at this point in your professional career, 18 years in, what keeps you going? Can you talk about the evolution in motivation that you've experienced?
Sure. The fear of losing. Every single time you win a game, it basically puts off that fear for 24 hours, but you got to get right back in the saddle and prepare again. And I think any player would tell you it keeps you up at night worrying about the losses and the tough games. And so you're always trying to prepare against that. I still want to achieve great things. Certainly moving to Colorado, there's a list of things that as a club that they want to achieve. First 6 playoffs and the playoff success, and then sustain that. With the U.S. men's national team, I've been a part of 3 World Cups. More importantly, I've been a part of 3 World Cup qualifying cycles, and it's daunting, but it's exciting. So I'm hoping to be a part of that again. I'm get my head down and working, and if this team can push ourselves through the next couple rounds of qualifying, then the World Cup is the greatest single event in sporting history. So
you, Tim Howard, are thinking World Cup 2018?
I have to think that, otherwise there's no sense in being here. Yeah, absolutely. I think all the players are, in the back of our minds are focused on being a part of that roster.
Can you talk physically for a goalkeeper? I mean, we're watching Gigi Buffon breaking records in Serie A at age 38. You've told me in the past that the game slows down for you, like
Sure.
Michael Jordan draining threes against the Trailblazers in the playoffs. Yep. The older you get, can you describe how the game has changed for you physically?
You rely on your experience, and your experience tells you that you're prepared. So when you're out there, you're a little less nervous, you're a little less jittery because you know what to expect. That kind of allows you to let the game slow down. You don't get caught up in the emotion of the game, the opponent, the crowd. You're just focused on doing a job.
You're with the US national team right now. When you look at the future of US goalkeeping, who do you see as the cream of the next generation most likely to inherit your gloves?
It's hard to name a successor, because Brad Guzan and I have been doing this for so long together. It's hard to say who the next guy coming through is. There's a few good ones out there. Will Yarborough, David Bingham. I know Bill Hamid right now is recovering from an injury. Sean Johnson. I mean, these are the guys who are pushing for the gloves, and they have it all to do. It's tough. It's hard to name one. Goalkeepers, you have to get 100 games, and about 150 games before you really can say, look, this guy's got the ability to do that, and so it's a long, hard task.
You're going to see a lot of these guys week in, week out. Yeah. Now you're returning to MLS. You left MLS in 2003. You were just 24. You weren't even properly bald yet, Tim.
No.
This league has changed drastically. since you left it. Does it feel like you're entering an entirely new world or returning to a familiar place?
Both. I feel like I know the league because I've played in it, but as you said, it's changed so much. I think that excites me too. It's coming back to a league that I feel like I know, but there's going to be so many cool changes. Different stadiums I've never played in, players that are much younger than me that I haven't had a chance to play against. So a little bit of both.
What do you think you still have to prove, and who do you have to prove it to?
Oh man, no one else but myself. Again, you asked me what drives me. The level of excellence where I've set the bar at and trying to achieve that every day and compete. I love to compete, and I think part of going to Colorado is people not giving that team a chance, and wanting to prove them wrong. I want to win. Win every week, yeah, of course. Win in the playoffs, yes, for sure. And then, of course, I said I have my national team goals, so I compete against myself. I'm my harshest critic, so.
What are your goals, Tim?
Be a part of a Colorado team that's on the up and up as a franchise and get ourselves back into the playoffs. Qualify for a World Cup. Ultimately, the Copa America is important to us, something that we have to get ourselves as a group and try and pit our wits against some of the best teams, that South America has to offer. And with that World Cup, I think that World Cup, is on the horizon for all of us. And it's there as kind of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
I'm going to insert the word win when we do the edit of this podcast. Win that World Cup, Tim. It's going to make headlines. You head to Colorado. Kevin Doyle, Sam Cronin, Jared Watts. You'll be by no means the only high-profile acquisition.
Yep.
The mighty Jermaine Jones signed ahead of this season. Got to say, the thought of you and Jermaine Jones loose in Denver, it really screams reality show to me, Tim.
Well, there won't be any of that. I'm always on my best behavior. But it's exciting. Those names you rattled off, and also with the signing of Gashi from FC Basel, and it's exciting times. It really is. People should be excited, and the expectation level should be heightened. It's obviously something we're going to all go in there and try to achieve.
I'm investing all of my bar mitzvah money in tattoo parlors in the greater Denver area.
Me too. I didn't have a bar mitzvah, but I'll invest some money in that too.
You didn't win a trophy with Everton while you were there. How much does that irritate you as a player, or is that something that means more to the fans? I've always wondered, Tim.
It means a lot to the coaching staff and to the players. We still have a chance to win that trophy this year, and
the FA Cup.
Exciting. In a team sport where everyone's trying to pull in the right direction, you also need a lot of luck. You need to have a good run. It doesn't always fall for you. So, yeah, of course, I'm a competitor. I like to win, so that obviously is disappointing, but sometimes it's not always in your own control.
In the past, though, when you and I have talked about this, together, we blamed it on the money that predetermines who wins in it, English football. As watching what Leicester City have done this season, has it kind of undermined our argument a bit?
Of course, they're certainly turning things on its head. It was an easy argument before, but now with the way they're playing and the money that they've spent or not spent, it's pretty impressive. It's an interesting little case study for the Premier League.
Have you watched that from the viewpoint of the Everton locker room and thought, why not us?
Of course. I think top to bottom, we have so much talent. We have bags of talent, and we go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the league. We show that. But there's also a maturity side of it, and that's certainly something Roberto Martinez speaks about. It can't be just talent. There's got to be a mix of doggedness and determination and maturity to see out games and to win games over the long haul. So that's going to come. It takes time. It doesn't get built overnight, but what we're excited about is the fact that we do have money. We are signing high-profile players, and those are players who have a ton of quality. So, yeah, we're going to get better.
I'm going to take you, Tim, forward. It's July. You're packing up your home in Manchester. You've left the Everton locker room for the last time. Everything in your life that's important is boxed up and headed back to the United States. What will you miss most about playing in the Premier League?
The fact that it's the Premier League, the competition, how stressful it is, and how talented the players are. That's obviously the reason I left America and went over, was for that challenge. I'll miss that part of it, but again, as I said, I'm stepping into a new one.
And you're on that plane and you're headed home. What are you most looking forward to about coming back to live in the United States of America?
The sunshine. That's an easy. I've not seen the sun in 13 years. So that'd be nice. And Colorado gets some 300 days of sun, so I've made the right choice.
When it gets above 40 degrees in England, my mum puts on her bathing costume and goes outside and sits in the garden. I've got to ask you the last question for all of our young listeners out there who have seen your career over the past 13 years and marvelled at all you've achieved. What's the greatest life lesson you've learnt from your time in the English top flight?
Yeah, that's an easy one. It's just self-belief. You get challenged every day, whether it's football or not. The undying belief in yourself to keep pushing forward. I think that was a huge lesson I learned. There's not always easy times, but you make the best of it. You keep pushing, and you'll find success.
I'll miss you at Everton, Tim. You've been a real leader there, and on a personal level for me, you've been one of the greatest menches in the English game. We can't wait to see the next chapter of your career play out on home shores, Tim. Roll on July 4th.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate you.
It's going to feel even more patriotic with your return this year.